Matt and I have been talking about which debt we need to tackle next, and we're really kind of in a dilemma here. So I thought I would use our time today to talk about how to prioritize paying off your debt. It is personal finance, and that means it is a very personal choice, but there is some logic that you can use if you're having a hard time. So stick around for the conversation about how to prioritize paying off debt. Hi friends, and welcome to the Budget Bounce. If we haven't met yet, I'm Jen, and we talk all about living life on a budget, saving for our future, paying down debt, and all the life that happens along the way on this channel. If those are things that interest you, you're going to want to hit that subscribe button down below and tap the bell so you'll never miss a video in the future. So let's talk about this whole thing about prioritizing paying off debts. To give you a little bit of background, in case you're new here, when we started, we had, I think, 37 or 38 debts identified. And in the end, I think we ended up with 42, if I remember correctly. Maybe it might be 43. I can't remember. We have so many, and we've paid off over half of those now. And, we started out following Dave Ramsey's steps, right? So we saved up a baby emergency fund, and then we moved on to paying our smallest debts first. So the smallest balance, which is the debt snowball. And that worked really well for us. But now we're to a point where we've been doing this for a while, and there are some other elements that are involved. And paying off the smallest debt, yes, we could do that, but there's lots of other options for other things. There are other debts that are more, more invasive for us than those small debts are. So we were having discussion about how to prioritize paying off debt, and our debt, obviously. And that got me to thinking, I hadn't talked about that, I don't think, in a really long time, if at all, on this channel. So I thought I would share with you guys and just talk through what some of the options are. So the first thing I mentioned was the debt snowball, which is a Dave Ramsey, I believe he coined that term, but it is where you focus on paying off the lowest balance first. You pay minimum payments on everything else, and even if you only have $5 in the month, you throw that extra towards the minimum payment on that lowest balance debt. You get that one paid off, and then whatever that total was that you were paying, your minimum plus your extra, gets added to the next lowest balance, and so on and so forth, and it builds this snowball effect, kind of like a snowball coming down the mountain. And it makes it so when you get to the really high numbers, that you are making really a lot bigger payments, and it goes a lot faster. Now, that philosophy is great if you need some quick wins, and if you're just getting started and you have no idea where to start, that actually is a really fantastic place. I would recommend that to anyone, if for no other reason than to just knock out one or two of your smallest payments, your smallest debts, so you can take those payments and add them to your next smallest balance and keep going. You can always change midstream. You can change to another option, like the debt avalanche. Now, the debt avalanche is where you're focused on the highest interest balances first. So where are you paying the highest interest? And this is one of the ones that is really eating at me right now, in terms of the fact that we just charged up one of our credit cards again after over 3 years of not having any new non-consumer debt. We added quite a bit in 2021 and also early 2022. And that included racking up our credit card that we've had for, I think I've had that card for almost 15 years, and racking it up to $14,000 again. I just am sick about it. And now we're looking at paying $200 a month in interest again. And so, of course, now I'm laser focused on that, and I'm thinking that's what we need to pay off. Okay, so that would make sense. It's not the smallest amount. We're not going to pay it off the fastest, but if we totally focused on that, we could have that paid off by the end of next year. So in the next 18 months. And that would be it would just feel so much better for us. And by doing that, really, when you do the math, if you tackle highest interest debt first, you're going to come out ahead. If that's the way you do it, you'll be slower to get to the wins, because a lot of times the high interest debt oftentimes will have really high payments. It will have really high balances. And so those are things to take into consideration. What is it that you need in your debt payoff journey to feel motivated, to stay motivated, to, what is it that you need? If you need those quick wins to get the confidence that you need, then you need to do the debt snowball and start with those smallest payments first. But if you are somebody who is really bothered by the math and the fact that the interest is so high on your cards, your loans, whatever it is every month, then you could do the debt avalanche. And again, you can change midstream. You can do one for a while and switch and do another one. Now there's another one out there, another option called debt tsunami. And with a debt tsunami, that's typically more about the emotional relief that you get from paying off debt. It's not as much about the numbers. So when I say emotional relief, let me give you an example. I have a family loan that is from my parents that they gave to us many years ago that we are paying off. And Susie might also have a loan from a friend or family member. Now, in my case, my parents are saying to us, don't worry about us, we're fine. Focus on all of the other things that you have going on. And so that's what we have done, and we have gradually built up our payments to them over time. And we're up to, I think we're paying $300 a month now, but we started at $100 a month. And during that time, we have paid off a whole bunch of debt. And there is no friction, there's no stress, they truly mean it when they say that. And they are behind us in our endeavors, and they really want us to tackle all the things that somebody else would be coming at us for. Okay, that's great. So that doesn't really have I don't have a big emotional investment in that, in the way that if Susie had a loan from her family and maybe she got a couple $1,000s from a sibling or a parent who then just talks about it constantly and it's causing stress. There's tension in the air because there is this debt owed, right? And one of the things about loaning money to other people, especially if it's friends and family, one of the best things you can do is if you decide to do it, consider it a gift to avoid this situation altogether. But Susie couldn't avoid that. And she has this $2,000 debt, and it's really, really causing a strain between her and, we'll say, her sister who loaned it to her. And she really, really wants to get that paid back. She doesn't want that stress in her life. She doesn't want the tension between her and her sister. And so now maybe she has another $10,000 debt or another debt that's lower in balance that she wants to get paid off. But really, what would really give her the most relief is to pay off that $2,000 balance to her sister. So that's a debt tsunami if you focus on really the things that are driving you emotionally and getting those out of the way as soon as you can. And that could be a combination of high interest debt. It could be low balances. It could be anything. It's really not about the numbers. It's about how does it make you feel. Now, another option that I've considered is focusing on the debt that has the highest minimum payment every month, okay? So for me, I mentioned the credit card. The credit card right now, we're paying $400 a month on, and 200 and some of that, it's around 205, is going to interest every month, which is infuriating. But we are also facing a recession. And so in my mind, I am concerned about having a $550 payment every month for the car. The actual minimum payment is $539. We've been paying $550 on it out of the gate. But still, if something were to happen and Matt and I couldn't work, either one of us couldn't work for some reason, if we lost any of our income, it could be a real hit to have to continue to pay that $550 and be such a relief if we didn't have to pay that $550. A recession is coming. We all know this. I don't know in my job that I am, even though I've been there 20 years, that doesn't mean my job is secure. And my husband works for the state of Illinois, and in the department that he works in, he probably will be fine, but he might have furloughs because with inflation and all the things that are happening and will continue to happen. The last time this happened years ago, there were furloughs in the state and federal governments. So that is something to think about. If we don't have the income coming in, how nice would it be to not have that $550 payment? Now, if we don't have the $550 payment and we're still working, the plan is we put that towards debt, right? That moves on to another debt. And so those are, from our perspective, we are struggling with which one of those should we do? Because really, either one of them is a really great option. And I would feel really good about either one of them. And it's only a problem if we have the $550 payment if we don't have all the income, like if something happens during the recession. But we're going to have the interest no matter what. And so it's, which one do we do? So I've now thrown out 4 different options. And that is the debt snowball, that is the debt avalanche, the debt tsunami, and then the highest monthly payment, the highest minimum monthly payment. So those are 4 different options that you can consider, and you need to work through that with your own personal, whatever's going on in your personal life, to figure out what is going to work best for you. So I haven't really answered my own question yet talking through this. I still am going back and forth. Now, one thing that Matt and I have considered is kind of doing a hybrid between the two. So maybe starting out and we put everything we can towards the credit card right now and do that maybe until I get my year-end bonus. And then when that comes, assuming I get one, when that comes, we throw that to the car. And then we make 2023 the year that we're going to throw as much as we can at the car to get that paid off as soon as we can. Now, by doing that, if we threw everything that we can at the credit card right now through November, that could get the balance down significantly so the interest isn't so crazy. It's such a crazy high number every month. It's cringeworthy. It was $207 this month. So if we did that, we could still get the car paid off early and possibly have that, I think it was possibly next summer. I can't remember exactly when I was trying to crunch the numbers. On the flip side, we could pay everything that we can towards the car right now and just pay minimums on the credit card and pay hardly anything off on the credit card. And I think we could have the car paid off in a few months, like as early as Q1 next year. So there are lots of options for us to consider, and I haven't answered my own question talking through this, but I do hope that it provides you with some information about some options that are available to you, especially if you're getting started on your journey and you just haven't really gotten your arms around things yet. You need to determine what is going to be best for you in your situation, because personal finance is personal. You get to decide. Nobody else gets to tell you what to do. It's your money, it's your debt. You get to do what you want and need to do with it. So I hope you found this helpful. And if you have any questions or comments you want to add, maybe you have another suggestion or an idea for how to tackle debt, feel free to leave it down below. If you chose a strategy that worked really well for you, we'd love to hear about it down in the comments below. So leave those for us so we can check them out, and know that you aren't alone. We are all traveling down this road, those of us paying off debt, trying to figure out what's best at what time, and it's okay to adapt and make changes. So that's all I've got for you guys today. I will see you next time.